Today, I'm going to tell you the 5 things I wish I knew about craft room storage before I sold my house and moved into my RV. Hi everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. I live, travel, and craft from my RV. So I'm going to tell you through this year all about the ins and outs of a traveling crafter. All right, let's get started. So right as you walk in the door, there is my studio. It is a bunk room, meaning it used to have some bunks instead of this desk. It had like a jackknife sofa and then a bunk that came down from the top. But it's been converted into an office slash studio. Right now I'm doing editing, so I'm not in the creating mode, I'm doing editing. I'll change this, move the lights over, and get out my paper and do paper crafting. It's not very big, and let me show you what it looks like when the slides are coming in. So this whole piece moves in and out, which gives you some unique challenges as a paper crafter on the road. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in the video. But today's topic is 5 things I wish I knew about craft room storage before I moved into my RV. All right, now we're here in my studio. I've done other videos showing the setup of the RV, so I'll link that in the description box. I'm not going to spend time. But a quick little backstory. In about 2015, the Hubs and I decided we were going to sell everything, meaning the house, the furniture, everything, and hit the road and travel full time. So we had 5 years to clean up the house, get it ready to sell the house, buy the RV, and here we are. One of the things I love is my views always change. And I can look out and see the views. Here's some of the things that we see along the way. We've gone all over the country. We'll go to the East Coast one year and explore, and then the West Coast another year. But in the meantime, we're not always hiking, we're not always exploring. I do a lot of crafting and I enjoy it. So one of the criteria when I bought the RV was I wanted to make sure there was room to craft. Now, before we bought the RV, I had some time to stock up on supplies and get some storage containers and try to figure out what my small space was going to look like. But I didn't exactly have the RV at the time, so the storage didn't fit. So this is rule number 1: get storage to fit your space. And I mean, grab your ruler and measure exactly what you have. Let me show you one of my containers so I can tell you what I mean. So this container holds my ribbon, seam binding, baker's twine, and elastic, any string or ribbon. And as you can see, it's pretty well packed. I've got everything neatly tied, or well, sort of neat. It's not exactly neat. Neatly tied around pieces of chipboard, and I'm able to access them pretty easily. I just sort of swing my chair around and grab them. I try to coordinate things on the chipboard. But if I want to get a whole bunch of ribbon, I'm going to have to get rid of some other ribbon. As you can see, I don't have much room for it. But this container fits perfectly in my space. I have 4 of them. They're art bin containers. I'll put a link in the description box if you're curious as to the size. But it fits nice in my little cubby. Here's another one. This one is my ephemera. You can see it is not very full, because that brings me to rule number 2 of things I wish I knew before I started full-time RVing. I only store things that I plan on using. There are some exceptions, but as you can go through and see what I have here, I don't have very much in the way of ephemera. A lot of what I have a collection or something that will coordinate, and I basically have a plan to use it. I don't know exactly, but I know that I'll use some of these 49 markets this fall when I'm doing that kind of fall color. Now, there are some things that I just keep that uh, will stay year round, but if there are ephemera of sets that I don't have any longer and don't plan on buying, I'm not going to store it, because I can get ephemera when I get the collection. Otherwise, I'm storing things that I might have for 5, 10 years, and who knows when I'm going to use it. And why use up valuable space for things that you don't really have a plan for? Like, let's do the math. Let's say you're a knitter and you use 20 skeins of yarn a year. You know, it's good to track it for a year just to see how much you use. So let's say you do 20 skeins of yarn. I know it's a crazy number. So over 5 years, you would, on average, use 100 skeins of yarn. But you've realized that in your storage bin, you have 1,000 skeins of yarn. So the math just doesn't math here. So always have a plan to use your supplies. And I know you're just doing this as a hobby, but still, I wish I had started with a planner when I first started. That way I wouldn't miss things like forget birthdays and have Valentine's Day paper that I didn't see until July. So I like to have a plan. I use a crafty planner. There's a video in my channel. I'll put the link in the description box all about using this crafty planner. Okay, the fourth thing I wish I knew before I started my RV is have a place for everything. Okay, now that's something I did know before I started in my RV, but it's super important when you're in a small space that you have designated spots for everything. My favorite is this tool carrier I keep in my drawer. Especially when you're traveling, things can roll out of place. But the important thing about this is these are my most often used tools. And the great thing is I can at a glance see if I'm missing something. And before I move or clean up or throw out my trash, I can have a look and try to find everything I need. I also have designated spots that I don't even have to get out of my chair to get 90% of my supplies. So everything has a place, and I clean up every 15, 20 minutes, mostly of my tools, but just so things stay in the spots and I'm not going crazy looking for things. It saves time and it saves money. You're not buying things that you misplaced or can't find. Okay, and the number one rule that I wish I knew about craft storage before I moved into my RV, don't stock up ahead of time. Now, hear me out. I know that you're going to have some things in your stash that you're going to want to move into your RV or into your new craft space, or if you're reorganizing, but don't go ahead and buy things just thinking you'll use them later. Again, it goes back to the planning mode, but even more importantly, when you're in an RV, weight matters. You don't want to have too much heavy stuff in your RV. And as well, you don't want things to get old and damaged and dusty. You want to make sure that they're current. It would have been better if I had just brought maybe 1/10 of what I had stored up just to work on, but then I'd be able to stop at local scrapbook stores that I found in different towns as I traveled the United States and buy new supplies and get excited about the different things that were coming out in the marketplace. So those are the 5 things that I wish I knew before I started traveling on the road as a full-time RVer that would have helped me with my craft room storage. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you and have a fabulous day.